Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is salmon, farm salmon specifically. So if you know anything about me or my restaurant Aroma Time, you know that we're opposed to serving farm salmon. I'm opposed to it. When I was a pescatarian for years, I never ate salmon. In fact, the last time I touched, or farm salmon I should say, the last time I touched farm salmon, consumed farm salmon, was probably 1998. Maybe 1999, and then back then I learned no way, no how. There's just problems with farm salmon. So lately there has been, I can go on and on about farm salmon. I suggest if you want the ins and outs of why I avoid farm salmon, just some of the reasons, go to nofarmedsalmon.com. That's my website. I have a ton of stuff on there, and I'm building stuff more and more on a weekly basis, so stay tuned to that site for a lot of information. But there's so much information there right now that if you just tuned into a fraction of it, you wouldn't eat farm salmon, trust me. So lately, I've been seeing a lot of chefs nationally and even locally, and some really good chefs locally, that are touting and promoting Faroe Islands salmon. Now, the Faroe Islands are located north of Scotland and east of Norway. So they're up in that whole northern Atlantic part of the ocean. And chefs are predominantly putting this on their menu, and they're like listing it like Faroe Islands are some great source of salmon. Now, most people that I've spoken to assume that Faroe Islands, when they see the word Faroe, I saw this in Florida too, and I even asked a restaurant there that I was eating at. I said, Faroe Islands, oh, this is wild salmon, they said. And people think because chefs are listing what appears to be a pristine area, and a lot of people don't even know the Faroe Islands, okay? You could list any island and, oh, salmon from this island is how it appears, and they think, well, this is wild salmon. It's not wild salmon, folks. Anything from the Atlantic Ocean is going to be farm raised if it's available commercially. That's just the reality of it. There are very, very small runs in Scotland, but these runs are so small that the price is expensive, and a fraction of a fraction of a fraction what we would catch on the Columbia River or in Alaska on certain rivers like the Copper River. So when you see Atlantic salmon, it's automatically farm raised, okay? When you see stuff like Faroe Island salmon, when you see New Zealand king salmon, okay, New Zealand might seem to be pristine, but king salmon is farmed in New Zealand. Chilean salmon, it's all farmed. It's farmed Atlantic salmon. So once we can get past that, now we're on to farmed salmon. So the Faroe Islands is basically farmed salmon. Now, there's many reasons, like I said, not to consume farmed salmon, but in one of the latest reports here that's maybe a year old, he did this research on salmon from across the globe, all types of farmed salmon, because farmed salmon has gotten a really bad rap, a really bad reputation over the last 20 years plus about being contaminated with PCBs, dioxins, all kinds of stuff. Because in the feed that you feed it, you're taking crushed up sea life, other fish, plus you have just a bunch of other miscellaneous things, and now you have pig parts byproducts, you have chicken byproducts in European fish feed for fish, and the salmon farms live so close together that they have to put in chemicals. They give them hydrogen peroxide baths to get rid of lice. They put Slice, another chemical, out there to get rid of lice. They're living in their own manure and their own feces because these salmon farms are packed tight, and the manure, the feces, just drops to the bottom of the ocean there, the bays there, where it's not that deep and just builds up, and it's really a bad situation. I mean, there's reason after reason after reason why you wouldn't want to be eating farmed salmon. So to shorten this video up, they might have omega-3s, but they have much more fat and much more dioxins, contaminants, PCBs. They have much more omega-6, which are not heart-healthy fats. So the real deal is you want to eat wild salmon. Okay, now if you are stuck to farmed salmon, the study did say the best farmed salmon, or the safest, or the safer, because I don't think there's a such thing as a safe farmed salmon, but they said that Oregon or Washington State would have some of the safest farmed salmon based upon the contaminants. Now, there's been studies out of Norway, out of Scotland, out of Ireland, out of the UK, out of everywhere, saying to avoid this stuff. And the latest study that I'm quoting here actually says no more than 3 portions a year. Any more than 3 portions a year, you're going to have consequences from eating this PCB dioxin infested salmon. So it's really, really scary. So now the thing is, this stuff is available all over the internet. Chefs can go on and read things, they can see things, they can see what the environmental working group is do, Friends of the Sea, the Salmon Coalition, they can see what's happening. So why are chefs still stuck on pushing farm salmon? And I even see chefs that are so-called food activists that are pushing this stuff, and it's just amazing. But then on top of it, now you have these chefs that are pushing the dirtiest of the dirtiest salmon, Faroe Islands and Scottish salmon. And it's just amazing to me that these chefs are in the blind about this, and they're falling for the lines. I had a fish vendor that told me about 4 or 5 months ago, Marcus, you've got to try this Faroe Island salmon, you've got to try it. And I'm like, are you crazy? That's farm salmon. Oh, but, and I went on with him about my concerns, and he couldn't answer any of the questions. Could not answer any questions. I said, you know how I am. Why would you even push this stuff on me? But they come in with a new product, whether it's Skuna Bay, whether it's Loch Duhart, whether it's any of these True North salmon, which Rick Moon is pushing. Which she still hasn't answered my question to why he's pushing this product on Twitter. It's just amazing because the information's there, but these chefs are not. They're falling for these sales pitches. And they all underlyingly know that farm salmon, because all these restaurants claim, oh, we don't serve farm salmon. We don't serve, I mean, people know it, the dangers of it, but they don't take themselves to educate, or they don't take the time to actually make the changes that they're speaking out against or that they know about. So it's really, really disheartening. Faroe Island salmon, that's on my avoid list as well, and all the salmon, it's really high on my avoid list. Dr. Sanaford from this Salmon Farm Protest Group says this scientific study blows out of the water the myth that farm salmon is safe, nutritious, and healthy. So he's saying this is the nail in the coffin for this. This is proof in the pudding. You know, if you're concerned about salmon, ask when you go out to a restaurant. Mention. You know, ask where their salmon's coming from. Tell them you don't eat farm salmon. Tell them you'd appreciate it if they served wild salmon. And check out my foodfraudtv.com site if you want to get tips on how to actually figure out if it's really wild salmon, because a lot of places will actually mislead you, and they will take inferior farm salmon and label it as wild salmon, which is a common thing in restaurants. So if you go to foodfraudtv.com, you can see more of my techniques on the phone, how I ask a restaurant about their salmon and how I can back them into a corner and get answers from them. Because there's certain times of the year that wild salmon isn't available on the fresh. Okay, from October until April. It's really non-existent, and then when April comes around, you have very expensive troll-caught salmon from Alaska, and there's Columbia River coming. The prices are so high that the average restaurant couldn't afford this. We're talking 5-6 times the price of farm-raised salmon. So when you see wild salmon for 25 bucks, it couldn't be that time of the year. Not until June does the season really kick off, where there's an abundant supply of more inexpensive salmon, but still it's going to cost double the price of farm-raised salmon. So if you see wild salmon for 18, 20 bucks, 22 bucks, 25 bucks, still you have to question that and say, this doesn't sound right. The economics aren't behind the price of this dish. Now in the wintertime, restaurants like myself, we can buy a frozen salmon. So as long as it's frozen properly, frozen on the ship, frozen on shore, frozen as soon as it's caught, at a blast chiller -80, cryogenically, these methods of freezing fish actually preserve the fish. A lot of sushi fish is actually frozen fish. So you have to get that stigma out of your mind that frozen fish is bad, because frozen fish is actually fresher than fresh, because they stop rigor mortis, they stop the actual bacterial growth of the fish and halt it when they freeze it. So when a restaurant like myself, a chef, goes a thought, I can have 0 microbes at the time of thawing. And if I'm 1 or 2 days out on all my seafood, you're getting the freshest possible seafood out there because of the microbial count. So that's my thoughts on Faroe Island salmon. Of course, I'm not the scientist, I'm not the person who did the study, the person responsible for this. I'm just saying what I found on the internet and what I found through some reputable journals here. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and please share this video and my channel. Thanks for watching.